Bickley and Marotta mornings. Arizona sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
After taking the vacant head coaching job in Phoenix, a well-rested Frank Vogel made a promise to all of us. He vowed that his Phoenix Suns were going to be scrappy as hell. Well, guess what? They're not. They're anything but. They're tentative. They play scared. They don't play with much grit or dogged tenacity. And if you're Matt Ishbia, you might be wondering what happened to that promise, to the basketball team that was supposed to assimilate and struggle early and then take flight in early January, assuming the elevation reserved for NBA championship contenders. For the team that was supposed to be scrappy as hell. Instead, the exact opposite is happening. As Sarah pointed out earlier, that plane is now returning to the tarmac with a big panel that blew off during ascension instead. Now, many believe that time is all the Suns really need, that the big three have only played 108 minutes combined, that they just don't have enough experience to matter to be something consistently special. But that loss to the Clippers was a little different. Had the scent of resignation and quit, which is pretty significant. And if this team is under 500 by the end of the month, it's fair to wonder if there will be another Black Monday in our near future for a head coach who came here with a championship ring and failed to deliver what he promised. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
You definitely go through a year and see where you are, where things stand after the postseason. I think, it's, I think it's, same within Milwaukee with Adrian Griffin. I think it's premature. I mean, I think, Frank, it's not an easy situation. And similar to when I was in Brooklyn and Jason Kidd took over in 2013-14, different because, Frank's got has a lot more experience. But when you inherit a top-heavy roster with the expectations, and then you don't have Beal, and then Durant's out of the lineup, and it's kind of a rotating door of who you have each night. It's hard to kind of get going what teams like Denver have, or Minnesota, Oklahoma City, teams that have kind of been together for a long time here.
That the voice of Bobby Marks, kind of illustrating what's going on here. And yeah, this is a very difficult thing for Frank Vogel. There's nobody debating that. Nobody at all. But again, if this basketball team, you take a look at the schedule, 10 of the next 13 games are on the road. You can go through them all. You can try to forecast what games are winnable, what games might be troublesome. They're all going to be troublesome if the team doesn't find a higher level of performance, if they don't find ways to close out games better, if they don't start taking care of the basketball better. I think there's significant issues with this point guard situation. Looks to me like it's kind of sucking the life and the joy out of Devin Booker, who, as Jared pointed out, is going large stretches of time in the fourth quarter without taking field goals attempts. You're not using him the way that you need to be using him. In other words, you're leveraging a lot of his greatness, asking him to facilitate to a team that doesn't have a lot of cohesion. And when Devin Booker is filled in as point book in the past, it was different. It was in a more established team, a more cohesive team, and I don't think it was as arduous as serving as point guard of this team happens to be.
I don't know what you do to fix that, though.
I don't either.
Because they don't have a point. They're not going to be able to go out and get a starting caliber point guard.
Well, Tyus Jones is said to be available. And he's considered the best backup point guard in the NBA. The question is, do you have enough to trade with the Wizards again and get him? Right. Would they want Grayson Allen and Nasir Little? I mean,
why?
I don't. Yeah, I mean that's the question. So, and I'm of the opinion now, as much as I really like what Grayson Allen has done so far, if you could manage a way to bring in that kind of point guard. And if the net cost is Grayson Allen and somebody who's not Eric Gordon, I'd do it. Based on what I see and the trouble I see with this basketball team. And this is acknowledging that Grayson Allen has been the Suns' third best player to date.
Right. So it's hard to differentiate him from a nice to have to a need to have right now because he is filling a need right now.
He is. Yeah,
but
right.
Is it a bigger need than point guard?
He's really the only guy who, and I think Book will get to this point, who is reliably hitting 3-point shots, right? Everybody else has been very streaky.
Yeah, Eric Gordon will have a game where he hits 7 and then have a game where he hits none.
Uh-huh. And so there's a lot of this stuff that's in the air right now. And as Brian Windhorst has said, that, look, it's the old saying, you can't microwave a turkey. You can't expect a fully cooked meal if you've been cooking it for 6 minutes. And all right, so this next stretch of basketball, these next 13 games, you really hope that they can build something. You really hope they can get that panel on the plane fixed and get back up in the air. You're hoping
that they're all just going to be there. You're hoping you're going to get 13 straight games of the big three all playing together. Because then you'll truly know what you have.
Yeah, and
you can't just keep having one of the three playing and then having to make a decision, because you're going to just keep having the excuses from everybody about, like, well, we haven't been healthy, it takes time, we have to play together.
I heard two random thoughts yesterday that I'm gonna bring up for the joy of speculation.
Okay.
Let's go.
This is no reporting. This is not even my endorsing. This is none of that, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
This is just pure speculation, because people have said, okay, if you were even going to make a change mid-season, who could you possibly bring in? I don't know. Isaiah Thomas to the rescue for Matt Ishbia? Hall of Fame point guard? Rally the troops? Why are you looking at me like that?
So not the former Denver Nugget Isaiah Thomas, the other one.
Not the former Boston Celtic and Phoenix Sun.
Phoenix Sun, great.
The other thing that crossed my ears, that it's almost too horrifying to repeat. Can I just repeat it?
All right,
well,
let's
it
do
really
it.
is.
Bringing in Isaiah Thomas was not the horrifying one?
No. The really horrifying thing that crossed my ears yesterday in the form of a question from somebody was, what if this thing doesn't get better? And what if Kevin Durant, instead of bringing a super team to Devin Booker, convinces Devin Booker that it's okay to go to greener pastures elsewhere?
Well, you remember it was
I told
over.
you that was horrifying.
I wasn't here that week, but the Christmas week, when those reports of the Durant unhappiness,
Chris Haynes report
of the frustration,
right.
There was a lot of people speculating, was like, oh, is he already done with Phoenix?
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. If he's already done with Phoenix, then I'm sure
But he's not. He's not. That's not the case. I'm just saying that at this point in time, it's fair to consider everything.
Yeah.
Because again, we were promised a basketball team that would be scrappy as hell, and we don't have that.
You have to address what the problem is, though, because if it's roster construction, that's not going to get fixed this season. If it's effort, you would think that effort can be changed. If it's continuity and chemistry, you would think that if everybody's healthy, that can be improved. If it's coaching, then that's something that can be changed. But if it's roster construction, then that's going to be something in the offseason, and it's just not going to work itself out this year. Because you can't. They put themselves in a position where they went all in with three superstars, and the rest of the roster is what it is.
Yep. They need that third superstar to be a superstar. Because again, I think focusing on the bit pieces, focusing on guys 7 through 12, and expecting them to be what's lifting you, that was never the deal. That's not the blueprint. The blueprint is these three great players carrying a team of whoever you give them.
They're going to score your 90 points every game.
Whoever you pair with them, you can't deal with this. And that has to be what the answer is. Somehow, some way.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.